All right, hey everyone, my name is Kai and we are about to start our webinar on easy head creation for CrazyTalk 8. So we're going to be doing a couple things here in this webinar. We're going to be creating a 2D head. I'm going to show you how you can quickly do that from a 2D image. We're going to spend just a little bit of time on that. The main focus of this tutorial though is going to be creating a 3D head. We're going to be modifying an image in Photoshop a little bit and creating a 3D head that we can then export into Character Creator and iClone. If you're unfamiliar with those, Character Creator and iClone are for our 3D animation software. We'll talk about how you can link the pipeline from CrazyTalk 8 into those programs as well. And then we'll talk a little bit about facial customization and facial animation. And if you have any questions by the end of the webinar, we're going to have a Q&A session at the end, about 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes maybe. And we're going to talk, if you have any questions during the webinar, feel free to enter them into the questions section of your GoToWebinar panel there, and I will be answering those at the end of the webinar. In addition to that, we're also going to be sending out a survey at the end of this webinar, so if you have any comments, any feedback, make sure you fill out that survey, and we will reward you with a $10 gift certificate from the content store. Free money, why not go for it? And we'll be emailing that to you after the webinar. In addition, if you have any, if I skip through some parts really quickly, I know there's some attendees here that are, fairly beginner level. They're fairly new to CrazyTalk 8. So if I go a little bit too fast for you guys, we're going to be recording this webinar as well, and we're going to be posting it up on YouTube for you. So we'll be sending you the link for this webinar. If you miss any parts, make sure you check out the link that we'll be sending you, a YouTube link, and you can review it on your own time later on. All right, so I think that's about it. We have a pretty full house today for our GoToWebinar application here. So on the screen right now, this is basically what we're going to be trying to create for the end result here. We have an image of a character from Better Call Saul, the show is called. Better Call Saul on AMC, if you've never heard of that show. You maybe might recognize this guy from Breaking Bad. He's Saul the lawyer, and we've taken a cartoon caricature of him and we've mapped it onto a 3D head, and we are currently in iClone. We're going to be talking about CrazyTalk 8 first, but we're currently in iClone, and we're going to be showing you how to get this kind of result and animate it and all sorts of other fun stuff by the end of this webinar. And we'll probably have a bit of extra time, so if you want me to show you anything else, if you have any other questions about other software, feel free to put that in the Q&A session, because we'll probably go about 45 minutes for the live demo here. All right, so let's get started here. I'm going to get into CrazyTalk 8 first, and what we're going to do first is we're going to be creating a 2D head, a very simple, straightforward 2D head. Okay, so let's go ahead and go up here. Once you load up CrazyTalk 8, just go up here, and you'll have the option to create a new actor. And this is how you create your heads. Okay, so here you have the option to create a 2D head or a 3D head. There's a few differences between these. Obviously, the major one being this is 2D and this is 3D. But let's start off with a 2D actor. Okay, I'm going to show you how to do this really quick. And I need to find the folder where I have all this stuff saved. It's deep down within the depths of my computer drive here. Let's see, we're in this one here. Okay, so I'm just going to preview this image first so you can see what we're talking about, what we're dealing with here. I grabbed this stylized cartoon type image off of the interwebs, and we're going to be using this to create our talking 2D head first of all, and then we're going to be using the same image slightly modified in Photoshop to create a 3D head. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with this one first. And this is for kind of like the beginners, some basic stuff like the face fitting and everything. So these are the steps that you go through to create your 3D head. First of all, you have the option here to crop your image. We're not going to worry about that in this case. We're just going to be using this straight up image here. You can crop it and rotate it slightly if you want as well, but we're just going to be using this one right here. So I'm going to go to the next step here. And this is very simple. You want to, you can scroll your mouse in to zoom in on the facial features if you want. Scroll your mouse button there. And what you want to do is you want to place all these markers here according to where they're shown on the image to the left here. So fairly straightforward, simple stuff. You want to make sure these ones are on the edges of the eyelids here, and on the edges of the mouth. These are the basic markers here. Okay, and then we can just go ahead and move on to the next step. And the next step here is we get some more advanced facial fitting markers here. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit again. We have this pan tool we can use to kind of pan around if we want. All right, what I'm going to do now is we have to go back to this one here, select, and we're going to set all these markers in place. Now there's this outer kind of wireframe here that we want to make sure we place around the the shape, the general shape of the head. Okay, and just do something like that. He has a pretty like oblong shaped face, and then the eyebrows, pretty straightforward. Just place them where the eyebrows are, and we'll zoom in a little bit here. You can see our image isn't super high resolution. We have a little bit of pixelation, but we'll work with this image. Generally, I'd recommend using an image that's at least a 1028 by or 1048 by 1048 resolution. The higher the resolution, the better, obviously. But we just want to place these basic markers where they should be, according to the image on the top left there. These ones kind of just encircle the eyelids. And place this one over here. Just make sure your blue wireframe kind of encircles the eyelids. And there's a more advanced one here as well, which we'll talk about in just a moment, the detailed one. But let's get our basic stuff going on here first. These ones go on the outside of the nostrils here. And these ones go along the curvature of the mouth. Right, and the outside of the face looks fine and dandy. We're not going to worry too much about that. So I think we got our basic stuff all set up here. Probably make this a little bit wider as well. Make his head slightly wider. Okay, and then we're going to go to the detailed one here. This is where we get the detailed settings. So again, you can follow along here with any image. Generally, I put one of these markers on the curved section of the eyebrow there for the best results. And there we go. There's no two characters that are the same, so there's really no universal tip that I can give you here, other than put these markers around the outer section of the eyelid, separating the whites of the eyes and the eyelid. Okay, and make sure you get that as accurate as possible. And this one here can kind of go right over there. And then we'll zoom in on this side here. See, this eye is a little bit smaller as well. So different characters all present different challenges, but this is kind of like the most mundane part of the entire procedure. So just bear with me here as I whiz through this section here. And then your middle nose section here can kind of be a little bit further down. You want to make sure that's on the tip of the nose. Tip of the morning to you. All right, we'll just put this the lips down as well. And okay, I think we're good for the detailed parts. And then you want to make sure that this outer part here is kind of important. Because the inner wireframe here is supposed to go to the curvature of the skull. I've kind of exaggerated it here a little bit, but this outer wireframe section, you want to make sure that's tight around the hair of your character. All right, so if they have like an afro, that'll be like way out there. If they have tight, more close cropped hair like this guy does, it'll be kind of a little bit tight around like this. And just want to kind of bring these points in like that, as tight as possible. Otherwise, you'll be moving a lot of the background, which you really don't want to do. Okay, because what CrazyTalk is doing is it's mapping all these points, and we're going to be able to manipulate them a little bit later. And you also have the option to mirror, which we're not going to use in this case unless your character's face is perfectly symmetrical. We don't really normally use this. All right, and there's also preview options here. You can select facial expressions, for example.
Smile, angry, sad, happy, surprised, and scared.
Okay, so there's our basic facial expressions. You can do lip sync, eye blinks, and eyeballs as well. We're not going to worry too much about this stuff. You can fool around with that on your own time. I want to get to bigger and better things a little bit in a little bit here. This option here, if your character's mouth is open, you want to select mouth open, and then you'll have a different wireframe for the mouth. But we're not going to cover that right now. All right. So I think we're good to go to the next step here. This is where you want to rotate your character's head to kind of fit the profile here. We're going to leave ours pretty normal. I think it's maybe slightly tilted to the right here, just like this. And if your character has a large nose or a pointy face like a bear or something, you can use these. And these are all normally used for really exaggerated characters, like animals or Cyrano de Bergerac or something like that. But for now, we'll just go ahead and press OK. You can adjust the strength on that. But we have more detailed tutorials on our YouTube channel on all this stuff as well that you can review. And if you have trouble finding those on our YouTube channel, I can send you links as well. Excuse me. All right, so there's our characters all finished. If we press play, you can see he'll move around slightly, idle and blink. This is our default auto motion right here. So in a couple minutes here, I probably could have done a lot faster, but a couple minutes you have an animated face from a 2D image. And you can go ahead and animate it by using stuff like the facial puppet tool up here. There's the auto motion settings. We'll talk about that later, and the face key editor. And you can also create a script. So if I wanted to create a script here, this is where you create your automatic lip syncing. So I can record my own voice. I can use my text-to-speech, which is my computer-generated text-to-speech. I can use an audio file, which I have prepared for the next example, and I also have an import script. Let's go ahead and use text-to-speech just as an example here. And we'll say something like, hey everyone, welcome to this awesome webinar. All right, and just go ahead and press OK. And what's going to happen is going to generate, we need to select talk mode or listen mode. If our character's talking, we want it to be in talk mode. If he's listening, we'll put listen mode, like he's listening to the dialogue. And then you also have the option for lip sync only. This is devoid of emotion. So there's no emotions when you select lip sync. Let's just use talk mode because it'll generate some auto motion.
Hey everyone, welcome to this awesome webinar.
Okay, so there's our dude talking with the robot voice. All right, and you may notice if we scrub back through on the timeline, he's kind of missing some teeth. So what we want to do is we want to kind of replace the teeth and the eyes really quickly here. All right, before I do that, I'll show you the face puppet, and I'll show you why we want to replace the eyes generally. When you open the face puppet tool, you're able to select any one of these profiles, press the space key, and you'll notice that let's actually just press refresh here, clear puppet, and let's select only the eyeballs. And I'm going to press the space key to preview. And notice that when we move down or up like this, it's basically using the only material that we have in the image to create the eyelids. So what you generally want to do is you want to, if you have any extreme eye movement like this, you'll want to replace those eyes. Okay, so I'll close that down. And okay, so let's go up here to mouth, teeth settings. Get our character some teeth first. All right, it'll ask us if we want to use one of these teeth templates. Since it's a cartoon type character, we're going to use one of these comic type teeth down here. We can use this one over here. And we can rotate it slightly, because his head is slightly tilted. And, you can adjust the brightness and all this fun stuff. We're not going to get into too much detail there. We just want to give him some teeth. All right, we can give him like buck teeth if we want, or, hockey player teeth. Let's go ahead and stick with this one and make sure it's rotated at a decent angle there. All right, and then we'll close that down. Boom, our character has teeth. And we can go over here to eye settings. And then it'll open up the eye folder here. And we have the choice between any of these human, comic, cartoon eyes. The cartoon eyes, can be kind of funny if you throw those in there. They add like nice big eyelashes onto your character, which are kind of weird, but for this type of character anyway. You can go back to the eye folder here. For this kind of character, we'll generally try and use the human eyes. Okay, so we'll select these human eyes, and we'll give them some nice blue eyes, some nice normal eyes right there. All right, now it kind of darkens the eyes a little bit, shadows them a little bit. If you want, you can go into eye settings here and modify that slightly. So there's like the eyeball white section here. If we want to like brighten that up, we can do so. Select the eyeball white little radio button there, and we can boost that up there. And then there's like an eye shadow section. We can decrease or increase the brightness there. So I like to do something like this, make it a little bit brighter. And then there's an iris section here. If you want to change the color of the eyes, you can do so using the hue slider here and make them super saturated. Get some super green eyes like that. All sorts of fun stuff that you can mess around on your own time. I think the we'll go ahead and stick with this these green eyes here. So all these layers, you can modify them separately as well if you use these two buttons on the top. If you want one of your character's eyes to be green, one blue, you can deselect or select these items up here. If you don't want any makeup, you can take off the makeup. I like the makeup, kind of just adds a little bit of a shadow onto the eye. If you don't want eyelashes, you can take those off as well. But generally, we'll keep those on. It really depends on your own preference. All right, and there we are. We're good to go. So we'll close that down. And here's our character with the better looking eyes. So we play it back. All right, so we lost our audio there. Not sure what happened.
Hey everyone, welcome to this awesome webinar.
Okay, and then if we want to layer on top of that some facial animation, some smiley stuff, we can do so by going using the facial puppet. Using one of these facial profiles like a happy one. Hey. Okay, you can notice when I go to extreme positions that it'll kind of morph his head in various ways. And you can also see the background morphing out a little bit as well, which is why we recommend you don't really have much of a background, like in this case. But you can give him a nice smile like this. Just go ahead and press record and then space.
Hey everyone, welcome to this awesome webinar.
Okay, so then we have that animation. Let's play it back one more time.
Hey everyone. Welcome to this awesome webinar.
Cool. It's not too bad for 5 minutes of animation, 5 minutes of face creation. All right, so that's really all we're going to cover for the 2D animation section. As you can, as I just mentioned there, the 2D is a little bit limited by morphing the background, and we only have a 2D image. It's not a 3D model head, so there's a few limitations to that. So let's take a look at creating a 3D image, 3D head. In replacement of this 2D head. All right, so to do that, we can go over here again to create a head, create a new actor. We can select a 3D head. Now, here what you want to do is they recommend you have a front-facing image and a side-facing image, but we're only going to do it with the front-facing image here. And I'm going to cancel this for now, actually. What I'm going to do is go into my folder here where I have this image prepared. So this is the one that I mentioned before. And what I'm going to do is load this up in Photoshop because we're going to do a little bit of Photoshop foo to modify it to be ideal for the 3D head scenario. So what I'm going to do first is we want to select our face section here. The only part we're going to use is the face section. We're not going to use the hair or the suit or anything like that. So I'm going to go ahead and choose like I think quick selection tool should work. We'll select as much of the face as we can here. I'm just clicking and dragging there. And that looks like it worked out pretty well. Okay, so we'll just select that section right there. What I'm going to do is, go ahead and Control C that. And we can create a new image here, I believe. Yeah, let's create a new image. Okay, so I'm going to start from scratch. I think it'll Control V here. All right, good enough. Maybe we can make it a little bit larger. Let's go ahead and, sorry, I'm just going to cancel this out. Haven't done this in a while. New image. Let's make it about maybe 450 by 600. Okay, and your dimensions may differ, obviously. You can tell it's a very low resolution image. And then I'm going to Control V right here. All right, so we have this head. Doesn't look like much right now, but we're going to add some stuff onto it. I'm going to press Control T here, and that'll give me a transform section, a little transform gizmo anyways. We can rotate it slightly so his head is directly facing up and down, which is what we normally recommend anyways, okay? We don't want it to be to the side or anything. We'll press Enter. And the next part here is kind of just filling in all the material, because what we're going to do is we're going to basically map this 2D image onto a 3D model. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'm going to use my brush tool here. And let's use the bracket key to increase my brush size. And I'm going to hold the Alt key and click here. That'll give us some skin color. We're just going to draw it in right here, okay? May look a little bit weird, but you'll see where I'm going with this later on. Okay, so we just want to get all the facial material we can. Since it's a cartoon, normally we're only going to have about 3 different tones for the face, okay? So it looks like his face is just expanding into the universe or something. All right, so we'll just work with this. There we go. And this one here. So like I said, there's 3 shades. generally like cartoon shading will have 3 separate shades, and we'll do something like this, just like that, and then we use this darker, we use this one actually, this darker shade, and just kind of bring it up like that. Okay, looks like he has an enormous head, but bear with me here. All right, we'll just work like this, because like I mentioned, we're only going to be using the mesh. So when we map it to a 3D head, it's going to look quite a bit different. Okay, and I'm using a mouse here, so my hand is kind of not the steadiest hand in the world. All right, we'll just go ahead and work with that. That'll be good enough for our intents and purposes here. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. Save as, we'll save it to my desktop as, it doesn't really matter. We can just save it as a JPEG, I guess. And we'll call it face, because we have no creativity for names today. So let's go ahead and press save and OK. And then in CrazyTalk, we're going to load up that 3D head now, create a new actor, 3D head, and then we're going to open our image right here, import front image. And we'll select we'll go to the desktop here, Shazam, there we go, and open up our face. There we go, okay? And let's close down Photoshop because it takes up a lot of resources on our computer, which we don't want to take up. Okay, so we have this. Looks a little silly, but you'll see when we map it to the face what it's going to look like. So we're not going to use a side-facing image there. Just go ahead and press next. And you may be familiar with this part here. You want to set the points, the fitting points on your character's face. So just follow the prompts on the left-hand side there. Very similar to what we just did. There we go. And this one here on the tip of the nose. And then on the right corner of the mouth here, middle of the mouth, and right side of the mouth. There we go. And then this one here is on the outer side of the cheek. So you kind of have to estimate here, guesstimate where the outside of the cheek is going to be. I'm going to put it about here. And then on the lower part of the jaw here, we'll put it about here. Okay, again, I'm just estimating. And here. So we're basically kind of creating what we think the facial shape would be like, since we don't actually have a facial shape to go by. Try and make them as symmetrical as possible. So these two are like, across from each other. This one probably moved a little bit. Whoops, oh crap. Let's go back a step here. Control Z that. I meant to move this one over here. There we go. All right, so now we'll put one on the top of the head, just about right up there. Okay, good. So those are all the fitting points we need. Go to the next step here, and we're going to have a 3D head in just a moment. All right, and here you can choose like a profile. If your character is big nose, you can give him a big nose just like this, and you can see it'll create sort of a bigger nose there. Caucasian, typical like features of different ethnicities and stuff. I like to go for the big nose for this guy. Let's see, let's give him a big old nose there. All right, and we'll go to the next step. There's also female ones as well, but we're not going to worry about that. Let's go to the next step. So this is the fun part again, where we get to do all the fitting. So I'm going to whiz through this pretty quick. All right, since you guys have kind of seen the results on the first run through here on the 2D character. All right, just kind of throw these in where you want them to be. Okay, we'll go to left eye here. Zoop. And don't worry about the morphing on the right-hand side there. That can always be adjusted a little bit later on. And there we go. Okay, that's going to be good for the left eye there. We're going to replace the eyes anyways here, like I mentioned, with our own embedded eyes. Don't worry too much about that. The nose can be a bit tricky. Now you can see here that this character, then there's a line at the bottom of the nose, and ideally that line at the bottom of the nose is supposed to be like on the very edge of the nose. It's not supposed to be there at the base. So we can kind of take this nose up a little bit, and or even down a little bit here, like that, and that line will kind of come up a little bit. You want to make sure that these three little markers here, I can select them here, there we go, are kind of curled around the nostrils. That's the most important part. Just like this. Okay. And this one can do this, be very similar over here. There we go. And you know, it's kind of a tricky sometimes getting the lines absolutely correct where your character, where you want the nose to be. We kind of got that one okay, I think, on the, well, maybe not. I probably want to move this in a little bit, actually. There we go. You know, like I mentioned, it can be tricky depending on the mesh that you have started off with. And I'll show you actually how you can modify this a little bit later on, okay, in Photoshop. We might bring up Photoshop again. All these parts here. All right, we'll just go ahead and work with what we had there. All right, the nose can be like tricky, like I said. Mouth is pretty simple, though, fortunately. Just want to make sure you get all these parts along the opening of the mouth there and the face. Now here's where you can really kind of have fun with the face. If you want to like really modify, you can kind of stretch out the head like this using these yellow gizmo sections here. So we can make him like a mastermind or something. I can do the same thing with the ears. Bring them out or in like that using these yellow sections here. Excuse me. And the chin can be widened or shortened. And then again, if you want to bring your head in a little bit, you can use these sections here to create like a very, I don't know, hammerhead type of character appearance. All right, we're just going to go ahead and work with this. We're not going to worry too much about that. And, excuse me, in the all section here, this is where you get a final look at everything. And you can twirl around your head. I think we're looking A-okay to start off with anyways. And then you want to go to the side fitting here. And the side fitting is going to be pretty simple in this case since we don't have a side image. Okay, we're not going to mess around too much with this. As you can see, the image is super low resolution. It's very pixelated. So just make sure everything's kind of kosher. It looks like it's all set okay here. We can, you know, slightly modify the nostril possibly, I believe, like something like that. And the mouth, again, everything should be normally set up pretty well. If it's not, you can modify those fitting points there to whatever your heart desires. Okay, and then let's go to all, and that's good. Okay, so let's go to texture blending now. So this is our front-facing image here. Like I mentioned, we don't have to worry too much about blending because we have all this extra material that we started off with. However, if we zoom in on our character, you can see it creates like an automatic sort of texture, and you can see the pores and everything like that. Let's try and make this a little bit smaller. You can decrease the pore size to something smaller, or you can increase it if you want. You know, if you want super rough skin. But I tend to use the smaller pore size, especially for you know, toon-like characters. Generally, with toon-like characters like this, you don't want any pore size. You don't really want much texture on them at all. You can increase the strength as well, or decrease the strength. You can see the results there. Hopefully, it's not lagging too much on your end, but there you go. And you can also modify the skin color slightly as well. Now, here is an important part. These three little images at the top here, notice there's a white section and there's a dark section. Now, the dark section indicates the part that's automatically generated by CrazyTalk 8. So it's going to kind of take the regular skin texture and try and find the closest match that it can. I think we've done a pretty good job automatically here. But you can see if we select this one, for example, it's going to use more of our original texture on the face. Okay, and if we twirl around, you can see, okay, I think we're not too bad there. Okay, those are the kind of the results that we want. And if we go over here on this side, you can see we have more of the CrazyTalk 8 generated texture. So it really depends on, you know, what you want to do. There's 3 different levels. I'm actually going to go with the original one with more CrazyTalk 8 generated texture. Just because there's a dark section over here, maybe a little bit too dark, maybe stands out a little bit too much. We could have probably you know, used a different color, darker color maybe on the side. But you can also modify this as well once in Photoshop later on. Okay, let's go ahead and just use this one for now. I'm going to be happy with this one. And so we'll go over to Detailed Morph. And Detailed Morph is where you can, well, morph all the details of your character's face. The full head one you can mess around with is pretty fun. You can give yourself like a heavy fat character, or you can give yourself a skinny character just like this. Very simple and easy to do. So with that one slider, you can narrow the face or widen the face. You can make the face look a little bit younger or a little bit older. Okay, older and sterner. Right, let's give this guy like an older face here. Right, so a more stern, older face. All right, I think we're good. And then you can also, modify the individual facial features, which I'm not going to spend too much time on. Let's make some time for other things here. You can kind of mess around with these on your own time. Chin cleft, for example. Maybe give him a chin cleft. I'm going to make him look some bit stronger here. Give him like a cleft, nice bum chin there. All right, a nice strong chin, and maybe widen it a little bit as well. So if you want to create a superhero, you want to give him like a big chin just like that, like a Superman, a jaw angle. You can kind of bring that out a little bit, and all sorts of other fun stuff. Upper chin protrude. Various sliders depending on the effect that you want to create. And cheekbone height. Maybe let's have the cheek bulge a little bit here. And cheekbone size there. Widen that slightly. All right. Well, maybe it's a little too much. We'll bring that in there. All right. And like I mentioned, mess around with that. Tons of time. But in this webinar, we're going to move on to other things here. So let's go ahead and apply that then to our 3D scene here. And it'll say the main stage actively modified. That's the one we currently have, the 2D one. So we don't want to save our project. We're just going to replace it. We don't need to save it. Nope, I want to save the project. Not sure why it asked us twice there, but it should be loading up our character. All right, so now we have the character here. And there you go. There's your 3D head. He is naked as the day he was born. So let's give him some clothes first of all. Let's go over here to clothing, actor styles right here. Now there's some embedded stuff. This is actor elements here rather, sorry. Yeah, okay, so we'll go to body here, actor elements. We can throw in some clothing, give him a nice blazer. Now these ones that I'm showing you here should be okay. When you apply body option, you want to import the just the cloth and the body shape. Okay, so you want it to conform to the body shape. So make sure you select that. Import texture as well, and go ahead and select apply. I don't believe that showed up in earlier versions. That kind of surprised me there. Hopefully that works out. Okay, there we go. So there's our character. Let's give him like a bit of a better look while we're doing this. Okay, at least his eyes are open there. All right, so you can throw in that that blazer if you want. There's another one here. There's also some content packs that I've downloaded here. Dress for showtime. I think there's some. You can give like a male clown suit. Lots of stuff you can throw onto your character. I like this male punk one. We'll just throw that in really quick just to show you there. Again, this is a separate content pack. I also wanted to mention as well. There you go. Some pretty hardcore tattoos. I also wanted to mention as well in the content store, in our website, the content store, this is basically what I've done is I've created this type of character. This is a pack you can purchase from one of our great developers, Gary Pye, and you can see it comes with a bunch of characters like similar to the one I just created. So you can see the original sketch right there. These are all the original sketches, and then he's graduated on to CrazyTalk 8 and iClone 6, which I'll show you how to do in a moment, right after we finish up with this guy. All right, so you can do stuff like that, and here's a lot of the cool-looking renders that he's created from all those characters. So you can pose them and everything once you get them into iClone. iClone is a lot more comprehensive than CrazyTalk 8. If you want to get into that, but let's start off with CrazyTalk 8 for now. And here's all the other packs you can find in addition to these ones right here. You can customize these characters as well. These are ones you can purchase for separate purposes. All right, but enough of that promotional stuff. Let's get on to modifying this guy a little bit further. First of all, let's give him a regular suit. Okay, just say don't show next time. All right, we'll apply that suit. And there you go, looking a little bit better now. I believe under actor elements we should be able to find some accessories like a tie for the body. And let's find a nice tie here. Ironically, I think they're under Party Fun pack, yeah. So the necktie there under the Party Fun pack, dress him up like an FBI agent or something, or maybe give him a nice bow tie, a pink bow tie. There we go. Okay. You know, we're not in this for style. We're just kind of messing around here. Okay, so then we want to get some hair on our character. So actor elements, this one right here, we want to go to the hair. And lots of different hairstyles we can choose from. I like this. The short hair one normally works for lots of characters. In the Party Fun pack, there's other packs other than the Party Fun pack. Just so you know, this is I think the only one I've downloaded. So we have a nice professor look right there. But I'm going to give this guy like a pompadour hairstyle because he's a slick lawyer type. All right. And what you can do from here is let's also modify the eyes. So let's give him some of those eyes like I showed you before we take him into CrazyTalk, or before we take him into iClone rather. Let's choose like those human eyes here. Let's give him some typical blue eyes. And again, we're going to select the eyeball white there, brighten it up a little bit. Ooh, a little too bright. Okay, this one's a little bit sticky. There we go. Okay, we'll work with that. The eye shadow, I like to darken that quite a bit. Ooh, maybe not that much. But just to give it some depth, I think about -30 should be good right there. And again, you can change the hue and everything like that, but I think it's pretty straightforward. Like I mentioned, the eyelash, we don't have much of an eyelash here, I guess. But yeah, okay, we'll just go ahead and work with those eyes right there. And you can kind of open the eyes in Photoshop as well. If you want to open file, or rather save the file as well, you can modify them in Photoshop. We're not going to do that for the eyes. Let's go on and move into the teeth now. All right, so there we have the better looking eyes. Okay, and let's go to the teeth here. Teeth settings, and give them some chompers. Right, I guess it automatically adds some teeth in the 3D head, but we can change those to comic teeth if we want. There you go, make them a little bit brighter. Make them really bright. And we're modifying the upper and lower separately there. All right, but have fun with that as well. All right, now what I did want to show you is with your character on the screen, we can also modify the skin texture as well. So let's go over here to texture settings. And like I mentioned before, under skin head, we can also launch this. We can also save the file and launch it in Photoshop. So right here, let's go ahead and save this file, skin head, as a, call it test head. So our desktop there, and save that. And then when we go to our desktop here, test head, just right click and open it in Photoshop. And from here, you can use your Photoshop skills to modify anything on the face there. So, like I mentioned, whoops, let's just kind of zoom in here. If the nose is a little bit too messy for you, you can kind of just, clear that up a little bit. I'm going to just do a little bit of I'm not sure why it's making that noise there. I'm going to kind of clear up this this black section a little bit here because it's kind of annoying me on the side of the nose there. And you can maybe blur it in a little bit. Oops. Give me a smaller brush, man. Okay. Gotta blend that in there. All right. If we want, we could just give him like a black eye as well if we wanted to have fun with it. But let's just go ahead and I'm not sure how much of that black I want to remove there, but let's give an extreme example here. Let's mix this in with our side of our nose here. There we go. All right. There we go. So if you have any, sort of stuff that you think is too dark here, or too annoying, you can kind of get rid of it using Photoshop. If you have some skills in Photoshop, unlike myself. I have no idea what I'm doing in Photoshop half the time. All right, but that's what we can work with right there. Let me clean this up a little bit. Anyways, I'm getting too obsessed with the little details here. But yeah, let's give him like maybe sort of a bluish, blackish eye here. Why not? All right, I haven't done this before, but let's go ahead and give it a shot. Let's choose something like a nice, I guess the black eyes are more of a dark blue, aren't they? Something like this. All right, we'll maybe give ourselves a little bit of a less opacity here. Maybe something like this. Oh, nope, it's not going to work too well. Let's clear up the eyebrows anyways here. So, you know, when your character blinks, sometimes there may be a little bit too much black stuff on the eyelids. The way to fix that is to just, go in here and take out all that black stuff there that we don't need. Okay. Because what it does is, you know, this is just taking from a 2D image. So, you know, we can give more of a accurate look on the 3D character if we get rid of all this black stuff here. Oops. Again, oh, that's why it's okay. I forgot to take my opacity up there. Okay, and we'll just go ahead and work with that. All right, anyways, sometimes I get a little bit carried away with Photoshop, but let me just quickly blend this in, and then we're good to go. All right. The ugliest, ugliest Photoshop job ever of the eyebrows. All right, so once we're done with this, again, I don't know if I'm going to be able to give you guys the black eye that I wanted to, because we can give maybe like a tattoo or something, like a face tattoo, like a prison tattoo or something. Let's see if we have a tear brush or a tear. Let's go ahead for this one here. All right. Let's just create our own teardrop here. And we need a different brush, obviously, there. Okay, so I'm going to create my own teardrop. Prison tattoo, okay? So since maybe he's a lawyer who's been to prison, we'll create that teardrop. Really terrible looking, but okay. That's kind of wanted to show you how you can do this. So we'll save as, and we'll save it as a test head again. Let's replace it. Okay, and we have one more time here. So I'm going to go to open that file and open the test head right here. And boom. Okay, so our eyebrows there, our eyebrows, not eyebrows, eyelids are kind of cleared up, and we have that tear prison tattoo on his face there. Okay, just kind of wanted to do that for fun. All right, and there we go. Okay, so then again, we can animate our character's face if we want. I'm going to load in a script this time. Create a script and import script. Oops, import script rather. Audio file that I have prepared. So this one here, we're going to use talk mode again.
Yeah, a lawsuit sounds good, Saul, but who can I sue? Better call Saul.
Okay, just a little clip I took from the show there. And if you want to add some, facial animation on top of that, again, easy like we did before, facial puppet. So he's saying, a lawsuit sounds good, but who can I sue? So maybe he has like a kind of a worried or a sad look on his face. Something like this. Okay, so let's go ahead and use this. Record.
Yeah, a lawsuit sounds good, Saul, but who can I sue? Better call Saul.
And then when he says better call Saul, we want to kind of give him a bit of a different expression, obviously. So we can do that using the facial key editor. Okay, so this is using keyframe editing. I'm going to press F3 and go into the timeline here. And in the timeline, we have a puppet clip, which is the one we just created here. All right, and there's also the voice track right here. If you twirl down the voice track, you'll see all the keyframes for the lip shapes, okay? I think we may have time to do a little bit of that, but generally, let's go ahead and talk about the face key editing first here.
Who can I sue?
So this little wavelength here is where he's saying Better Call Saul. So let's go ahead right here and open the face key editor. And I'm going to just go ahead and press default key. And that's going to set our character back to the default like neutral expression here. And so then right here, we're going to give him a kind of like an evil looking expression. So we'll just go ahead and use, let's reset this first. Kind of bring his eyebrows down there. And bring those eyebrows up in sort of an evil fashion like that. And we can take the nose and kind of bring it up like that as well. In this section here, we can open the eyes a little bit more, give him more of an angry look. And we can make it even angrier by taking that nose section down there as well. I want to slightly bring up the cheeks. The slight, grim or menacing smile right there. And then this section here, we'll do that a little bit there. And I think we should be good to go. So then we have
Better Call Saul. Better Call.
Okay, so we have that, sort of menacing look right there. And what we need to do here is at this point here, we'll just go ahead and work with that. I think we have an auto motion here that we need to get rid of. So let's break that auto motion and delete it. Right here. I think maybe right here we need to break it and delete it there. Yeah, this is getting a bit more advanced and we don't really have time to go into this, but I'm not sure why it's only showing up for that one moment there. Maybe we need to, oh, I know we do need to break this puppet clip here. And then over here we need to do that same stuff. Really quick, there we go. Give him a menacing grin. And this nose section can go down and open up the eyelids there. Oops. Use this for that. All right. Okay, we'll work with that. So then we have this Better Call Saul. Okay. Anyways, we're going to work with that for now. I'm not sure what the issue is there, but yeah, you can use the face key editor to create some nice facial animation like that on top of your puppet clip there. All right, so we'll go ahead and work with that for now. What we're going to talk about for the last thing we're going to talk about here is how to export your character into CrazyTalk, or rather iClone and Character Creator. So once you have your character open here, what you want to do is you want to go over here to your file, and you can export. We can export a RL head. Okay, so this is going to export our character's head. Alternately, you can go up to here to send head to Character Creator, or export RL head from here. I think what we'll do first is just send the, I don't think we have time to send it to Character Creator, so let's go ahead and just export the RL head here. Okay, and it'll say, don't worry about this, it'll ask if you want to, if you have separate eyes, or separate colored eyes, then it'll kind of make them uniform, so you won't have a chance to separate the eyes. We'll just separate, we'll just export this to our desktop, call it default. And once we have it as default here, we can load it onto this Saul character here, and we should be able to see the difference. All right, so there's our default RL head on the desktop here, once it's saved. 97%, come on, you can do it. Might take a minute here. If it crashes, that would be no good. All right, well, there we go, 100%. All right, so there's our default head. Let's bring that into iClone and just drag it on top of our character. And you want to import head morph, import texture for the head and body. Okay, press OK. And it should be pretty similar looking to the one that we already have on the screen. Maybe a little bit different since this is a little bit of a different round. All right, there you go. You can see we have the much larger chin there and the prison tattoo and everything like that. Okay, so I think this one actually looks a little bit better. I like the bum chin there, the cleft chin that this character has. All right, and then in iClone, you can use all the motion tools, which I'm much more familiar with. like the facial puppet tool down here, very similar one. Okay, so you can give them like a kind of a crazy grin like that, and the 3D environment is a lot easier to kind of manipulate your character and all sorts of other stuff. You can give them like a nice angry expression like this. And again, all those materials are also exportable. You can find it under materials over here. You can find all your character's materials. And you can modify those in Photoshop and so on and so forth. And we also have Toon Shader in iClone as well. If you select Toon Shader up here, you can see this creates sort of a 3 shader toon type appearance on all your characters, and you can modify this slightly if you want. There's various values you can adjust, like the edge intensity if you want it to be a little bit lighter. You can also determine the amount of shadow on your character's face like this. All right. Generally, you want to keep it, as bright as possible. So something down like this should be okay. And then there you go. And so it's a very, kind of like a comic book style shading that you can get from using the Toon Shader there. All right. Yeah, so I think that's about all the time we have for this webinar. We're going to move on to the Q&A session right now. So if you have any questions about CrazyTalk 8 or any of our other software or content or anything like that, feel free to put them into the questions section right now, and I'll be able to answer those in just a moment. So let's move on to the questions panel. I believe we already have a couple of questions waiting here. Oh, do we ever? Okay. So Susan says hi from Fort Lauderdale. Hey, Susan. Omar is asking, how do you avoid artifacts that float around your head after export? Not sure what type of artifact you're talking about, Omar. Maybe if you guys have any questions where you want to show me something, you can just give me an email at developer@reallusion.com. That's developer, just like you spell developer, at reallusion.com, and I'll be able to answer that a bit more accurately if I'm able to see what you're talking about there. So apparently Omar is seeing some artifacts that float around the head after the export. I'm not sure if you're talking about 2D or 3D or anything like that. So that could be an export issue as well. Okay, so he's specifying here from a 2D image with a 2D image rig, exported out as an image sequence PNG. Again, I think that's not normal. We shouldn't have any artifacts with a image sequence PNG export. So make sure you just send an example to me, and I'll take a look at it for you, Omar. There, I can't really do much troubleshooting in this webinar for that. It's probably a little bit more detailed. All right. So move on to the next question here. Thomas asks, any plans for adding Adobe Character Animator type of webcam control to CrazyTalk? I've just recently started messing around with Adobe Character Animator myself. Pretty decent program, pretty fun to mess around with. We're not going to add that to CrazyTalk 8, but CrazyTalk Animator is probably what you want to get into here. CrazyTalk 8 is very simple. Like I showed you some more advanced parts of CrazyTalk 8, but for people who want more options for their animations and stuff like that, I'd recommend using CrazyTalk Animator here. If you're unfamiliar with our software here, CrazyTalk Animator can be found right over here. Where is it? There we go. So CrazyTalk 8 is only limited to head animation. It's only limited to our character's head and shoulders. Excuse me. CrazyTalk Animator will be full body, and you can add bone structures to your characters and create cool animations like this. You can check out everything that you can do with CrazyTalk Animator on this page. Let's go back here. I wanted to mention as an aside here that if you go to CrazyTalk and you want to know if what your version can do, because certain versions you're not able to use certain features. So you want to go over here to Overview, and you want to select Edition Comparison. So it depends on which version you have. Okay, so you may not be able to do certain things with the standard version, for example. So the 3D character fitting, we're not able to do with the standard version, okay? The side face profile, all the 3D stuff to create your own 3D character, you can't do it with the standard version, unfortunately. All right, the 2D stuff, everything like with the 2D that I showed you, you can do fine with the standard version, but the Pro version you'll require for the 3D photo fitting, which I just showed you there. Okay, and a lot of other stuff here. You want to make sure that you are able to do most of these things. I didn't get into the automotion here. We have a separate tutorial on automotion on our YouTube channel though. So, all right, so next question here. How do I import the real human heads into CrazyTalk? From Alvin. So real human heads, I believe you're talking about these ones here. Realistic, whoops, like human 100 CrazyTalk. I just Google all this stuff instead of going through the site. It's normally faster anyways. I'm assuming you're talking about these, Alvin. To import these into CrazyTalk 8, yeah, you should just be able to like click and drag them, RL head, into CrazyTalk 8. If I go back into CrazyTalk here, let's create a new project. We save that RL head as a default iClone head file here. We should be able to bring that into CrazyTalk. Oops, first load an actor. So we need to have a default actor here first. You can probably tell I don't use CrazyTalk that often. Just load in like JP should be just fine here. Any character, any 3D character really, and then just load in the head. All right, the head that we just exported, and should be fine. All right, so with this pack, the Realistic Human 100s pack, you'll have RL heads. You can just click and drag them onto your character like I just showed you there, and you'll be able to apply it like that and go from there. All right, so Walter asks, can you create facial expressions in CrazyTalk 8? Save them and use them in iClone 6. Ooh, good question. Can you create expressions and save them in iClone 6? I don't believe you can. You can export scripts, RL scripts, which are like the audio files. Let's see here. Yeah, so if you go to create script here, there's an import script from CrazyTalk 8. You can use those, but those don't normally contain facial animations. So for facial animations, I don't really think you can actually export the facial animations from CrazyTalk 8 to iClone. To be honest, the tools in iClone are a lot more comprehensive for facial animation, I think, than CrazyTalk 8. Like I mentioned, CrazyTalk 8 is generally used as a sort of a beginner's tool for just having a simple talking character, talking head. With iClone, you can do a lot more advanced stuff, including the facial animation and lots of other stuff. So I just recommend creating it in iClone in the first place. But I don't believe that you can export into iClone. That's a good question, but I don't believe you can, Walter, so sorry about that. So another question from Omar, can you export a 3D head once textured, not the body? Yeah, I believe I just showed that in the demo there. So a question from Granny J, how do you export the 3D head for use in iClone 6 and Character Creator? Just export that RL head. Like I mentioned, there's the procedure very similar to what I showed. There's with your character, you can export it to RL head or send to Character Creator. I'm not sure why this. Oh, that's because we. So if you have a character that has a DRM protection on it, like the Realistic Human 100s pack, these things may be disabled. You may not be able to send them out. All right. So RL Talk. RL Talk might be the one you can export. I don't know. RL Talk is a new one that I haven't really explored yet. So okay, so hopefully, yeah, email me later, and I'll be able to take a look at the RL Talk and see if that works. All right. So yeah, hopefully that answers the question. You can export to a Character Creator and iClone 6 as well. So okay, Charlie had a comment, black eyes are more purple. Sorry, I absolutely failed on that part where I wanted to create a black eye for my character, so I resorted to the prison tattoo there. I'm not really good at Photoshop. to be honest. Okay, so Miroslav has a question about when iClone 7 will be launched. Right now we're looking at around May for iClone 7 launch. iClone 7 is going to be pretty awesome, so I'd really recommend checking that out if you have any time to take a look at iClone 7 and the plethora of new features that we're going to include in that software. All right, so so Jason asks, with the 3D you imported just the face, then added the body through CrazyTalk 8. Also says hi to Susan, a local from Florida as well. You imported just the face and then added the body through CT8. Can I import an entire body? Unfortunately, we can't export the body from CrazyTalk 8. We can only export the RL head formats. If you want to do the body stuff, we can use Character Creator. I don't have time to get into detail on Character Creator in this webinar, but we have lots of tutorials on our YouTube channel you can check out for that. Mike asks, are we able to export the character to FBX via 3D Exchange? Yes, Mike, you're able to export any of these characters to FBX via 3D Exchange. However, you need to make sure that you have the pipeline version of 3D Exchange, which is a bit more expensive than the Pro version because you're exporting to FBX format. All right. So again, every software every software package we have has an addition comparison table like I just showed you before, and that should be able to show you what you need to provide which function. Okay, so Jason asks, with the teeth, can I import my own? My client has a grill. You can't import your own teeth, unfortunately, but you can modify the texture like I just showed you in Photoshop there. Again, you just go ahead and save this file out, and it'll save as let's call it test 2, and then you can open it up, and there you go. And you have to use this map. It's kind of a little bit difficult to. These are the teeth in the front. I can tell you that. These ones on the top are the teeth in the front. So you could probably put some yellow lines across these or some golden grills or whatever right here. Just kind of experiment with it and load it back into CrazyTalk 8. So you can export that teeth texture as well. Hopefully that's allows you to do something as far as the grill is concerned. All right, so Stan asks a good question. Would the changes that you applied to the character make it your intellectual property? No, not really. I mean, basically, if you want to publish any of the characters you made in the marketplace, then it becomes your intellectual property. We do allow you to use our base characters, like all these actors here. You can use these actors, free of charge, modify them, and then export them as RL heads. And you can sell those as RL heads on the marketplace if you want. You can make some extra money on the side. But yeah, once you publish it to the marketplace, it'll be your intellectual property, meaning that we'll have DRM protection on it, which means nobody else will be able to pirate it because we put protection on it once it's published in the marketplace. So in effect, I guess it would make it your intellectual property. Although it's shared with Reallusion as well. Any content you make is also property of Reallusion. I mean, we're not going to sell it. You have the exclusive right to sell it, but it's not your intellectual property because it comes from our base content, anyways. Right, a little bit of legal mumbo jumbo there. Hopefully that is clear as mud. Another last question from Jason. He says, if I go into the AutoMotion settings, I choose what I want to do. I hit preview, and it works perfect. However, when I hit play, no motion happens. Is there something skipping over stepwise? AutoMotion preview. Whoops, we were already in CrazyTalk. So the AutoMotion is over here. I haven't used CrazyTalk in like probably a couple of months, so a little bit sketchy on the. Let's go ahead and choose something like this dance one. So we'll give ourselves, whoops. Oh, we need to load an audio file first. Dang it. All right. Let's just load an audio file here. I'm not sure if I have any music files here. Maybe this one? Nope. I have no idea where I have any music files. on my, nope, I don't know. I don't have MP3s anymore since Spotify. So, okay, we'll just load an actual, you can load one of these. Practice audio, there we go, okay, right, you could do that. Okay, so for auto motion, go up here, preview, you have to apply it. So, after you stop previewing, you want to select apply. Make sure you've applied it instead of just previewing. Otherwise, it won't apply. So hopefully that's pretty straightforward. All right, so when you do make your own auto motion here, we didn't get any chance to get into this really, but make sure you apply it before you go any further. All right, so hopefully that answers that question. Question from Lonnie here. We have about 5 minutes left. Do you have any training that goes into depth with syncing words to the lips for CrazyTalk 8? I have Pipeline and I want to send to mobile devices inspirational sayings by different historical characters. Lonnie asks about any in-depth lip syncing training. Yeah, Lonnie, just email me personally. I can refer you to someone who's more than willing to give you some step-by-step tutoring. Again, developer@reallusion.com. If anyone here is interested in personal training, we have some people who are available to do that for you that I can refer you to. So just email me if you want more in-depth training, and I can provide you with the contact information that you need for that. All right, because I know sometimes the tutorials can sketch over things or skip over things a little bit, and sometimes I get a little bit muddled. Yeah, we can be more patient with a one-on-one training. All right, so Karen asks, hi from New Zealand. Hey, from New Zealand. What time is it over there? Like almost like pretty early in the morning, I guess. Anyways, okay, so I'm wanting to use CrazyTalk with a photo of real cats. How do I deal with the ears? I think the setup is for humans only. Well, that really depends. If you have a 2D image of a cat, the ears, the 2D image setup that I showed you before, you can, that little halo wireframe that I showed earlier, you want to make sure that that's kind of around the ears. You have to kind of modify that slightly to go around the ears, but you can definitely, create the 2D animated characters for your cats. You can also do like 3D animated cats as well. That's a little bit more tricky. That's a bit more advanced, and we have content like let's see if I can find it here. The content store, I think in CrazyTalk. Maybe CrazyTalk Animator. No, CrazyTalk. There's some stylized animals right here. It just loads up here. This pack right here has some 3D models, I believe. They're 3D heads. Yeah, so stuff like this you can create. Again, it takes a lot more effort than what I showed you in this webinar. You can also purchase these separately if you want. They're from a developer named Tokamotion. Really, really excellent quality from this guy. You won't regret if you purchase anything from him. But it's a lot more effort to create it on your own there. I'd say probably even a lot more than $15 worth of effort, to be honest. But yeah, if you want to personalize it, then you'll have to put that effort in there. So Karen asks again, is it possible to blend the eyes better where it joins the face other than using shading? Yes, you can customize, not in CrazyTalk 8. You can do this in iClone, and you actually have to export from iClone into a FBX file or an OBJ file in 3D modeling. If you're familiar with 3D modeling software, you can do that, and you can manipulate the mesh of your character's face. All right, that gets to a lot more detail than I want to get into in this. Opens up a whole new can of worms. But again, email me if you have one more detailed answers on that. So Alvin asks about Graph Editor in iClone 7. No video of it. We will have it, Alvin. We will have the Graph Editor in iClone 7. I can promise you that. Can you export a 3D head as an image sequence? Omar asks. Yes, you can. You can export anything as an image sequence from CrazyTalk 8. All right. Okay. Karen talks about importing your own teeth. Yeah, I think you can probably purchase separate teeth from the content store. I don't know that you can do it in CrazyTalk 8 though. I know you can do it in iClone. So Granny J asks, can you publish just the head in the marketplace? Yeah, I believe we do have people that sell RL heads in the marketplace. So yeah, you can publish heads in the marketplace in the RL head format. If any of you guys are interested in customizing your own heads. Okay. So Karen mentions about importing your own teeth. Let's see here. I think we only have the open, yeah. So it's only the texture that you can import in, like I just showed earlier. You can't import the actual model of the teeth, just the texture. All right. Anthony asks, is there a way to make a character talk real time with an off-site voice actor, say a live show or presentation? Anthony, we get asked that very often, and we're very seriously considering opening the API to CrazyTalk. So we're going to allow people to import that, integrate that technology into their own apps. That is not in the immediate future, but possibly a little bit later on this year or next year. The Open API will allow people to use this technology in real time on their apps to have characters say stuff in real time across the network or something like that. So I can't say anything as far as a timeline, but we are seriously considering that, Anthony. So hopefully that answers your question. Lonnie says, thanks for the info. Awesome. You're welcome, Lonnie. Okay, one final question here from Jason. Plan the character. Okay, so he's saying the apply thing doesn't work. So yeah, Jason, if you're having sort of a technical glitch, is what it seems like, you can contact our customer support or just email me, and I'll give you a link to the customer support, and they should be able to give any technical troubleshooting there for you for your automotion application there. Or again, you can also just go out to the Reillusion page. Where is it here? If you guys find any technical problems with the software, just go up here to Learn and Support and Customer Service. All right, and then it'll ask you to log in your Reillusion membership. That's fine, and just go ahead and do that, and then you can give customer support your question. All right, so it's really good for technical support. The customer solution, customer service up here. All right, so again, developer@reillusion.com is my email. All right, so if anyone has any further questions, send that off. So let's see here. Mike Smith says, is it possible to use more than one head? At the moment, no, we're not allowed to use more than one head. I believe like some earlier version we did have more than one head at the same time, but we wanted to focus more on the features, so we just restricted it more to one head. All right, and I think that's about it. So again, any questions, guys, any further questions, email developer@reillusion.com. And don't forget to fill out the survey as well. We're going to send you a $10 gift certificate from the content store if you respond to that survey and give us any feedback for future webinars. And yeah, so good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. We're going to end the webinar off right there. So thanks so much for attending, guys. Hopefully you learned a lot. And again, any questions, any suggestions for future webinars or future tutorials, email me as well. Okay, so I'll talk to you guys later. And again, thanks for attending.